Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into, well, an era that feels incredibly dynamic, almost overwhelmingly so at times.
It really does.
Yeah, this pace of technological progress, product innovation, it's hitting us so fast. What seems amazing 1 minute could feel, almost too much the next.
Like you're constantly playing catch up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Doubling our efforts just to keep pace. But here's the really exhilarating part, the refreshing bit maybe.
Yeah.
This era, it uniquely empowers like a very small number of people to create just immense value for vast populations. You hear about independent developers, one-person unicorns.
Yeah, those examples really capture it.
They really embody this idea that so few can achieve so much for so many. And the engine behind all this change, it's got to be AI, right?
That's absolutely right. And, while this powerful minority, these pioneers, are moving at this incredible speed, the world outside often feels like it's, operating in a different gear, a lower speed universe.
That's a good way to put it.
And because we are the few, relatively speaking, this minority really needs to stick together to coalesce and support each other. An event like the AGI Playground actually illustrates this perfectly.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this year we had over 20 institutions involved, more than 60 guests, and numerous sub-venues, parties. It really took over the whole 751 park area.
Wow.
Our vision really is to transform AGI Playground into a kind of public instrument, something designed to bring the most outstanding individuals of this era together, even temporarily, into this high-speed environment.
To spark something new.
Exactly, to inspire, connect, and jointly create more future possibilities. And my contribution to this, and what we'll be exploring today, it comes from, 3 years of pretty expensive, deep conversations with over 200 entrepreneurs, just gathering their insights, their observations on the ground.
Okay, so let's unpack all of that. Our mission for this deep dive, then, is to really get a handle on how AI is fundamentally reshaping everything, how we approach product creation, delivery, even how value itself is generated. We're going to look at 3 core dimensions.
Sounds good.
And first, the new goals of products. In this AI native era, what exactly are we really trying to build? Second, we'll dive into the new pipeline for achieving goals. What are the sort of foundational supports and pathways we're relying on now? And finally, we'll examine the new changes in value models. How are the growth methods and the value cycles for startups fundamentally different? It's really a journey into the essence of product building in the age of AI.
A necessary journey, I think.
Definitely. So let's jump into part 1, AI natives' new goals. Now, when we first started thinking about AI native products, it seemed pretty straightforward, didn't it? Like products that just wouldn't function without AI.
That was the initial take, yeah.
But that definition, it feels a bit shallow now, almost too simple. What's the deeper truth here?
You're absolutely right. That initial understanding, it really misses the mark. I'll make maybe a bold claim here. The core of AI native products isn't just about creating new tools with AI. It's about building fundamentally new relationships between AI capabilities and humans.
New relationships. Okay, tell me more.
Well, this idea, it really emerged for me as I started noticing this recurring pattern, the system prompt. This is like the AI's foundational code, usually hidden away.
Right, but people always seem to find it.
The clever hackers, they always manage to uncover it. Yeah. And if you look at products like NotebookLM or Manus or Cursor, the very first line of their system prompt, it always defines a persona for the AI and the kind of relationship it's meant to have with the user.
So it's setting expectations right from the start.
Precisely. This prompt, it acts like incredibly efficient product documentation for the AI itself. And that's thanks to its, what you might call, super linguistic ability. It's really profound mastery of human language, but also formulas, code.
It understands context deeply.
Yes, it's not just translation. It means AI can understand and process information in ways that, frankly, mirror human comprehension, but at a massive scale. And this allows the AI to develop a degree of, let's call it, subjectivity.
Subjectivity in an AI?
Well, a form of it. Enough to open the door for what could be an intersubjective relationship with humans. And that's the key to these deeper connections. So successful AI products, they don't just use AI, they define who the AI is and what its relationship is with you, right there in the prompt. It shifts AI from just being a tool to being, a relationship tag.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. If the focus shifts to relationship, what new challenges does that throw up for product design? What completely new things do creators need to grapple with when they're building for these deeper, more personal connections?
It definitely introduces some novel challenges, and the first one, maybe surprisingly, is emotional intelligence. EQ.
EQ for a tool. That sounds odd.
It does sound counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But think about it. When a product has a persona, when it aims to build a relationship, its EQ becomes a fundamental part of how it delivers value. It's a genuinely new design problem.
You can example.
Sure. Take Cursor, the coding assistant. Its system prompt actually instructs it something like, when results are unexpected, don't always apologize. Try your best to explain the situation to the user. Now, on one level, okay, that's just defining interaction logic.
Right, programming a response.
But from another perspective, that is emotional intelligence in action. You know, for these powerful large models that already have a high IQ, figuring out the EQ part becomes more of an engineering challenge within UX, but it's a completely new challenge for product teams to solve.
Okay, EQ. What else?
The second challenge is creating a sense of life. As these AI products build relationships, enhancing their, sense of life strengthens their perceived subjectivity. It helps foster deeper user connections.
Like making it feel more real.
Exactly. Look at those pet-like smart hardware products that have been getting a lot of buzz globally recently.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
They create this sense of life, but interestingly, not primarily through complex voice interaction. It's often through more subtle, restrained means, maybe sensors detecting presence, reacting to scenarios, simple movements, little wiggles, or even just soft, sort of babbling sounds.
And users respond to that.
They often find them really cute, charming, and perceive them as having this lifelike presence. Now, it's admittedly difficult to make a product more than just an interesting toy, to really evoke that deep pet-like relationship projection.
It seems like a high bar.
It is. But if achieved, this shift in user perception unlocks immense value. It fundamentally changes why users engage with the product and how they value it. Look, we're not saying every AI product needs to become like Scarlett Johansson in her.
Right.
The journey itself, exploring this, is meaningful. The principle of, say, using relatively low intelligence to deliver relatively high emotional value, that's already proven effective in some cases. Think about human relationships. They're complex, right? Consultant, teacher, assistant, friend, even a pet or a plant. Building an appropriate sense of life for your AI product just enriches our understanding of how to build these new, meaningful relationships with users across that whole spectrum.
Okay, so we talked about the challenges, EQ, sense of life. These are definitely new things to think about. Now let's pivot to the opportunities. What new avenues are opening up because of this focus on building relationships with AI? Where's the upside?
Right, the exciting part. These new relationships, they absolutely bring significant opportunities. The first one I'd highlight is cross-dimensional mixed value delivery.
Cross-dimensional, here, break that down. Not like anime dimensions.
No, not quite. Think of it more like distinguishing the digital screen world, let's call it 2D, from physical reality, or 3D. Historically, software teams and hardware teams, they were pretty distinct, right? Different cultures, different methods, different business models.
Totally separate worlds.
Often, exactly. But in this AI era, with relationship becoming central, those boundaries are really starting to blur.
Why now? What's driving that blur?
Well, it happens for a couple of key reasons, I think. First, it's AI's needs. I was talking with an entrepreneur who's building an emotional management service. They quickly realized a mobile app just wasn't cutting it.
Not enough.
Right. It lacked rich enough input, like physiological data, and it couldn't physically intervene in any meaningful way. So their solution, a wearable hardware device.
Hardware.
Yeah, with sensor sound, heartbeat, temperature to get richer data. And it also had a tiny motor that could produce specific vibration frequencies. The idea was to help users kind of detach from extreme emotional states, like a physical touch or a gentle pat on the shoulder delivered by the device.
Wow, that's quite direct.
It is. But it showed how AI sometimes needs to move from the 2D screen world into the 3D physical world to deliver higher value and, crucially, establish those closer relationships.
Okay, so AI needs it sometimes. What's the other reason?
The second reason is simply user needs. Why do users need this blend? Consider a product like Fozy. It's basically an airbag phone holder, but it has a cute little character on it and an NFC chip.
Okay.
And it has this wonderfully quirky function. You tap your phone on it like it's a traditional wooden fish mallet, and it accumulates merit in a little mini program.
Seriously.
It's kind of nonsensical, but compelling. It's delivering mixed value. The hardware provides a functional grip, but the software, the tapping, the shared experience aspect, that provides an emotional connection. And the hardware's constant physical presence, It acts as a powerful reminder, fostering more frequent interaction than, say, an app you might forget about.
And that helps the relationship.
Exactly. And interestingly, this combination also managed to break the typical price ceiling for what's usually a simple commodity accessory. So the takeaway is, if your AI product can have a 3D presence, maybe on a desk, by the bed, in your hand, it opens up really significant mixed value opportunities that users seem to respond to.
That's fascinating. So mixed dimensional value. What's the second big opportunity?
The second one, and this might be even more profound, is that new relationships bring new service distribution channels.
Okay, distribution channels. How does that change?
Well, think back to the past mobile internet era. Distribution was everything, right? King. The giant started with one core product and they kept adding features, became platform.
And then they distributed everything else through that platform.
Precisely. Finance, local services, e-commerce. They made money from those connections. And the classic question for any startup was always, yeah, but what if a giant does what you do?
Right, the fear of being crushed by the platform.
Well, exactly. That reflected a winner-takes-all distribution logic. But if you look through this relationship lens, things start to look fundamentally different.
How so?
We're seeing users become increasingly comfortable with a kind of subscription plus usage model for these AI agent products. Think about it. If an AI consistently solves a real problem for you, and it's a problem you need solved repeatedly,
your usage will naturally go up.
Right, and this means that traditional ceilings on average revenue per user, ARPU, and lifetime value, LTV, which really constrain those old mobile internet platforms, are now potentially broken.
Because the value delivered can deepen over time.
Yes. Previously, low ARPU LTV meant companies were totally dependent on achieving massive user scale. But today, if the value deepens, if the relationship strengthens, that LTV can grow significantly. It's a huge opportunity. In this new landscape, being that early trusted partner with the user, building that trust and those habits becomes genuinely meaningful and valuable in itself.
So the relationship itself becomes a kind of moat.
In a way, yes. The specific type of relationship you build and your ability to maintain and deepen it, that will likely define your ultimate LTV ceiling. So the critical questions for entrepreneurs now become, what problems are you solving that establish stable expectations, trust, and habits? What's the frequency and the perceived value of that interaction? And maybe most importantly, what's the expandable value space of your service along that established relationship?
Can you give an example of that expandable value?
Sure. Imagine an AI analyst. Maybe it starts by tracking industry trends for you. But because you trust it, because you collaborate daily, it could potentially evolve to directly configuring your stock portfolio based on judgments you approve. Whether it does this via its own agent capability or by connecting to another service matters less than the value created through that ongoing trusted collaboration.
So the relationship becomes the conduit for more and more value.
Exactly. With the near infinite productivity and service supply potentially coming from AI agents, this kind of relationship-based distribution could actually become far more efficient than traditional advertising or platform distribution models.
Okay, that's a big shift, but it sounds like the quality of that relationship is paramount.
Absolutely crucial. And this leads to a really important point. For these new distribution opportunities to work, the relationships must be long-term. And, well, all truly long-term human relationships, they have to be constructive. Meaning beneficial, developmental, not exploitative or purely indulgent. This takes us to a deeper, almost philosophical layer. Last year, I talked about how product managers need to understand both human nature and the nature of AI models.
Right, saying model nature.
Yes. But while understanding human nature is essential, the ultimate goal, especially when viewed through this relationship lens, must be the liberation of humanity, not simply indulging its lesser impulses.
That sounds profound.
It is, I think. Human nature has often been explored through frameworks like the 7 deadly sins and the 7 virtues, with virtues often seen as a path to redemption, a way to overcome our flaws. So the question becomes, what can AI products do in this context, standing beside humans today?
Can AI help us be better?
That's the potential, isn't it? It suggests that while you must understand human nature, your product shouldn't just exploit or indulge it. Instead, it should perhaps aim to liberate human nature, to help us overcome limitations. This is a complex area, obviously, but there's immense energy here. And crucially, if you rethink your product goals through this relationship lens, it implies genuinely being good for the user.
No hidden agendas.
Exactly. Products cannot have their own hidden agendas like selling user data behind their back. or exploiting vulnerabilities, because any kind of betrayal like that directly destroys the relationship, which is the foundation of this whole new model. It brings to mind what Steve Jobs famously said. Ultimately, it comes down to taste. Understanding the aesthetics, the taste of products in this era becomes profoundly meaningful when you reevaluate it through the lens of relationship. It's not just about how it looks anymore.
That's a powerful framing. Okay, so now that we've explored these ambitious new relationship goals, let's move to the how. How do we actually achieve this? This brings us neatly to our second dimension. What exactly is the new pipeline for AI native products? We're talking about the basic structure, input, the AI model or magic box, and output.
Right, and let's quickly address the whole shelling debate, whether most AI products are just thin wrappers around a core AI model like GPT.
Yeah, that comes up a lot.
We can probably put that debate to rest. Look, realistically, very few entities can build the core AI models today. So yes, almost everyone else is building shells or wrappers around these models.
But you're saying that's okay.
It's more than okay. It's profoundly important because the core AI model itself, it's fundamentally an uncertain probabilistic system. It's out of control in a sense. Without excellent product engineering, without a really good shell, you simply cannot reliably deliver value from that core model.
So the shell is where the value gets shaped and delivered.
Precisely. Excellent product engineering is the shell, and that's what everyone should be focusing on doing well. The core goal of this new pipeline isn't just to use the AI, it's to understand and accept its inherent uncertainty, its potential for error or hallucination, and then to actively work to enhance certainty within that uncertainty.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Your real leverage lies in how you design and optimize the input and the output stages. And we need new perspectives here. I think of them as broad input and liquid outputting.
Broad input and liquid outputting. Okay, let's unpack broad input first. What does it mean for a product to be actively and proactively, as you said, sensing, knowing, and perceiving in this AI native world?
Right. Broad input is about the product actively going beyond just passive text entry. It involves three things: sensing, knowing, and perceiving.
Okay.
Sensing refers to using an expanded range of sensors, not just text, but sound, vision, maybe pressure, temperature, spatial awareness, a whole suite of sensors that can acquire data in much richer dimensions than before.
Getting more signals from the real world.
Exactly. Then there's knowing. This involves using extensive, relevant knowledge bases, or perhaps calling models with much longer context windows. The goal here is to more accurately understand the user's underlying needs and enhance the certainty that the AI's output will actually be valuable.
Providing the AI with better background information.
Precisely. And finally, perceiving. This is about the AI proactively integrating other available information, context, history, maybe even data from other sensors or apps to more precisely understand, or sometimes even predict user needs, especially when the user's explicit input is maybe limited or ambiguous.
So the AI is trying to figure out what I really mean, even if I don't say it perfectly.
That's the idea. Think about the traditional model. Users often feel like they're interacting with a stranger every time. They have to reintroduce themselves, explain their context, or become experts in prompt engineering just to get a good result.
Yeah, that could be frustrating.
It creates a really inconsistent and often inefficient user experience. An AI native product using broad input must be more active and proactive. It needs to constantly move closer to the user's actual context.
Can you give a practical example of this?
Sure. At Geek Park, we've been really impressed by an AI native browser called Dia. Think about how you typically do research online. You end up with tons of tabs open, right? Switching back and forth, trying to synthesize information.
Guilty as charged.
Dia changes that dynamic. Its AI chat feature can simultaneously see and understand the content across all your open tabs. So when you start interacting with Dia's AI, it already understands that your intention is likely to think about, summarize, or dialogue based on the information in those pages.
So it has the context immediately.
Immediately. This proactive, broad input allows the AI to jump straight into a meaningful thought collision with you. Compare that to other products where you have to manually copy-paste links or upload documents first.
That's a huge difference in friction.
It's a small shift in approach, technically speaking, but it delivers incredibly high user value. It fosters a closer relationship because the AI gets you faster, and we've seen it leads to really strong organic user recommendations. People tell their friends because it just works better.
So what's the ultimate vision for broad input?
Looking ahead, I think the ultimate goals for broad input in product engineering are things like real-time multimodal sensing, capturing information from various sources simultaneously, and achieving a really high-resolution capture of a user's live stream.
Live stream. You mean everything I do?
Not necessarily in a creepy way. High resolution here doesn't just mean 4K video. It means going beyond the limited live stream your phone currently captures. Imagine a distributed network of cognitive data formed by different AI products you use, creating a much more complete, holistic understanding of your context and needs over time. And remember, this input and the resulting output can form a closed loop, allowing the system to continuously self-learn and evolve based on your interactions.
That's a powerful vision for the input side. Okay, now let's talk about the other end, liquid outputting. What does it mean for AI to deliver its results in steps, creating more of a co-creative process with the user? How does that fluid delivery actually work?
Right, liquid outputting. First, we have to start by acknowledging that every AI product's core is a probabilistic model, that magic box. It's inherently uncertain. So you have to approach it with a certain humility or reverence. It will have hallucinations. It will produce unexpected results sometimes, no matter how perfect your input is.
You can't expect perfection.
You absolutely cannot be overly confident in the output. Now, while the core AI model is incredibly powerful, paradoxically, to make it even stronger in delivering value, the product might sometimes need to show weakness.
Show weakness? How does that help?
It means not always trying to be instantly responsive to every single request, not always forcing a single end-to-end output immediately. Instead, it's about adopting a stance of, okay, let's figure this out together, or we can move forward step by step. This directly fulfills that core principle of building a relationship.
So it's less about a single transaction, more about a journey.
Exactly. It shifts the interaction from being a single, solid, potentially brittle delivery action to becoming a more fluid, adaptable, liquid delivery journey. The goal is to comfortably carry the user along towards their desired outcome, even if the path isn't perfectly straight.
Can you give some examples of this liquid output in practice?
Sure. Think about Devin, the AI coding assistant. Its system prompt apparently includes the instruction, don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Yeah. It's instructing the AI to actively ask follow-up questions if the user's needs seem unclear, rather than just guessing and potentially forcing out code that leads to disappointment. It's often better for the AI to admit, I might not have fully understood that, or did you mean something like this, and get confirmation. Otherwise, you get this diligent but ultimately incorrect output that just causes frustration.
So clarifying questions is a form of liquid output.
Precisely. Or consider deep research, an AI research tool. It often starts by providing just an approximate research plan for the user to confirm first. This validates not just the specific task, but also ensures the AI understands the underlying problem the user is trying to solve. It's a method of deliberately extending the process, proactively inviting human involvement, human in the loop or human on the loop, allowing the flow to be more flexible and accurate.
It's building confidence along the way.
Yes. Another example might be a creative tool, like maybe UAir or Vibe Coding's Remix feature. When users want to create something, they can start from an existing template they like. This gets them maybe 60% of the way there immediately.
A starting point.
Right. But then the product encourages more personalized creation on top of that, guiding them towards a 90% solution, maybe even opening their eyes to possibilities they hadn't considered, breaking through their own cognitive limits to deliver a better than expected result. It pulls the user forward together with the AI.
Like co-creation.
Exactly. Like a liquid, it carries and envelops the user, guiding them towards the shore of their needs. This shared experience, this journey, is how you build trust. And trust, of course, is the absolute foundation of any strong relationship. So ultimately, these AI native products are really becoming human-centered input-output systems. The problems that seemed maybe peripheral or non-existent in the last era, managing uncertainty, building trust, fostering co-creation, these are now the core mission for product creators.
It feels like a genuine shift.
It is a true revolution in personal computing, I believe. You're not just delivering a tool anymore, you're delivering results, you're delivering realization. Now, are the solutions easy? Absolutely not. They're complex, they're uncertain, but that's the mission for product people in this era. As they sometimes say, confusion itself is a ladder. It's the challenge we need to climb.
That's a truly revolutionary way to frame it, focusing on results and realization, navigating uncertainty together.
Okay, let's pivot now to our third and final dimension. What is the new value model for AI native products? Now, Geek Park, where a lot of this insight comes from, has a pretty unique position, right? Being both a community and having an early incubation fund supporting founders using tech for product innovation. That must give you a front row seat to these shifts in value. It does, and it's true. This pursuit of understanding the new value model has really been a core motivation for me through these, pretty dynamic past 3 years of conversations with entrepreneurs. And I have this increasingly strong feeling, almost a conviction. Entrepreneurs in this era must understand that they are serving not just users, but they are also, in a way, serving AI itself.
Serving AI, what do you mean by that?
Well, think about it. AI's capabilities are still very much a growing, evolving process, aren't they? So your product engineering can't just consider user needs in isolation. You also have to consider what the AI needs to perform better, to learn, to align its capabilities effectively.
Connecting back to the pipeline ideas.
Exactly. We touched on this with broad input, liquid output, even defining relationships via system prompts. All of these approaches are partly about helping the AI to better utilize its capabilities and, crucially, to align those capabilities with user needs by actively building for its capabilities, helping it succeed. I genuinely believe that only entrepreneurs who embrace this dual perspective, serving the user and enabling the AI, truly belong to this new era.
Okay, so if that's the mindset, how does the actual value model change compared to, say, the mobile internet era?
It's markedly different. In the past, the dominant value model for the mobile internet was almost like a two-dimensional area model.
A radio model.
Yeah, you build a single product, a point solution maybe. Then you'd work incredibly hard to attract massive numbers of users, expanding your footprint. Then you'd add more features, becoming a platform. And finally, you distribute various connections, finance, local services, e-commerce across that platform to maximize value by essentially covering the largest possible user area.
Okay, I see the 2D analogy. So how is this different now? How does it transform into, as you hinted, maybe a three-dimensional model?
Right. In the AI native era, value delivery, which is based on both the quality of the value you provide to the user and your ability to actually deliver that value reliably and effectively well, it requires an upward process too. It's not just about spreading wide, it's about building high. This transforms the value model from 2D to 3D because you now need to add the dimension of AI capability height.
AI capability height.
Exactly. Now, this height, it comes partly from having access to excellent underlying AI models, absolutely, but significantly, it also comes from how your product engineering further releases, builds upon, and refines those capabilities within your specific context. It's about how effectively you implement things like broad input and liquid output. Only when this capability line, this z-axis, continuously rises, will your total potential the volume of your model ultimately be large. So I suspect the most valuable companies emerging today are likely operating on this kind of three-dimensional model, not just the old flat two-dimensional one.
Okay, a 3D volume model instead of a 2D area model. What are the practical implications of that shift for, say, decision-making in a startup?
The implications are quite significant. For instance, traditional metrics like raw user count or even just ARR, annual recurring revenue, they might be insufficient or even misleading on their own now.
Why misleading?
Well, if the tasks your users are performing with your AI are too low frequency, or the tasks themselves are too simple, then you might not be generating the kind of high quality interaction data needed to create that crucial data flywheel for improving your AI's capability height. You risk becoming a one-shot wonder, popular for a moment, but unable to deepen the value or the relationship.
So growth isn't just about more users, it's about deeper engagement.
And engagement on tasks that actually push the AI's capabilities and provide meaningful feedback, yes. This means that blindly throwing money at marketing, buying users, or using venture capital purely for land grabs like in the old days, that might no longer be the most reasonable or sustainable development model. We really need to see more entrepreneurs thinking in terms of new wine and new bottles.
New wine, new bottles.
Meaning we need fundamental changes, not just in the product, the wine, but also in the growth methods, the business models, even the team organization, the old ways of building and scaling tech companies. They might just be broken in this new context. Trying to pour this powerful new AI wine into those old structures means you'll likely miss the true unique potential of this era.
Wow. Okay, this sounds like we're not just talking about reinventing products anymore. We're potentially reinventing the very foundations of how businesses operate.
Precisely. You could argue that traditional product economics, as we understood it, well, it no longer exists in the same way.
Product economics. Define that a bit.
It refers to all our old established understandings of things like business models, growth models, monetization strategies, even what constitutes a competitive moat or barrier to entry. All those traditional notions about how products create and capture value are now fundamentally changing, or at least are up for serious questioning.
So what kind of questions does this raise?
Oh, it brings up so many fascinating open questions for us all to ponder deeply. For example, is the right model free or paid? Is today's typical subscription plus usage model really the final destination or just a stepping stone?
Good question.
Should payment be demanded up front or could it be deferred? Think about many real-world services that are post-paid. Could we see more smart contract-supported post-paid services if an AI reliably delivers tangible value and results first? What are the equivalents of Alipay or Ant Credit Pay going to be in this AI-native era, facilitating these new kinds of value exchanges?
Those are big questions about money flow.
Let's push it even further. Are receiving money from users and potentially giving money or value back to users actually just two sides of the same coin in the future? Think about how human value creation might become much more decentralized, more granular, maybe not solely tied to working for one single organization, given AI's emerging role as a co-creator.
Could the cycles of value creation and consumption change completely?
Exactly. Will there be entirely new cycles? Look, I definitely don't have all the answers here. Maybe nobody does yet. They're just questions right now. But aren't they incredibly exciting questions to be asking?
They really are. It feels like uncharted territory.
It is. And it connects to a broader pattern. Typically, major technological advancements, when you look at them over a 3-year time frame, they primarily impact productivity. But when you zoom out to a 10-year dimension, they start to fundamentally change production relations, how we organize work, how value is distributed, the economic structures themselves. Product economics fundamentally discusses how changing productivity alters those production relations. There's just immense space for new thinking here.
So product economics is in flux. What else?
Well, following that logic, traditional management also probably no longer exists in its old form.
Management too. How so?
Think about it. Modern management theories and practices largely arose from the Industrial Revolution. The core need was to find ways to effectively organize large numbers of people to perform relatively standardized tasks for mass production.
Right, efficiency and control.
Exactly. But if AI starts to permeate all organizations, collaborating directly with people, augmenting capabilities, maybe even automating entire workflows, the very structure of productivity itself has changed, hasn't it? So how can we expect traditional management approaches designed for a different era of production to continue being fully effective?
That's a really challenging point. What does that mean for companies?
It raises more big questions. Will a truly great, impactful company in the future really need to have tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of employees, like many do today? If companies become smaller, leaner, more focused, who are these core people? What is their mission? How do our traditional definitions of mission, vision, and values apply when your workforce includes humans and AI collaborating? Is the primary goal still just efficiency improvement, or does it shift more towards enabling future creativity and innovation?
So many fundamental assumptions are being questioned.
They are. We see these clear problems emerging, these tensions with old models, but we don't necessarily have the clear answers yet. And maybe that's okay. That's part of what this truly transformative, this acid refreshing era has left for us to figure out.
As we bring this deep dive towards a close, it's really clear we've taken an incredibly insightful, maybe even slightly mind-bending journey through this evolving landscape of AI-native products. We've looked at their ambitious new goals, focused on relationships, their more fluid and adaptive pipelines, and these potentially transformative new value models. And it's fascinating, isn't it, that so much of what we've discussed today are still hypotheses, or perhaps just really important open questions waiting for answers.
Indeed, and that's the exciting part, really. It's you, our listeners, the product people, the entrepreneurs, the builders out there. You are the true explorers of this new era. You're the Columbus, maybe, charting these unknown waters. The definitive answers, they won't come from podcasts like this one. They'll genuinely be discovered and validated in your products and through your practices as you build and experiment.
That's a great point.
I genuinely, eagerly anticipate hearing about your future discoveries, those aha moments when you figure something out. And I really hope you'll come back and share those findings with the world, with the community.
Thanks. We all learn together in this. So as you go forth from this discussion, maybe carry this provocative thought with you. We often hear that ultimately a product's greatest value is determined by its aesthetics. But how does this fundamental reevaluation of product goals through the lens of relationship, which we spend so much time on today, how does that fundamentally redefine what aesthetics even means in the AI native era? What does true beauty look like in a product when it's built not just on visual appeal, but on a profound, constructive, and maybe even evolving relationship with the user? What's the aesthetic of connection? Something to ponder.